Hey Room 102, I'm super sorry that I'm not there with you today, but I'm going to be with you guys over video, so I think that's kind of cool. We are going to continue, actually we're going to restart reading the book Wonder. I only had a couple of you guys on when we had started it before, so I think that we should all restart it. So, as some of you guys know, this is a book about a boy named Augie. And Augie is a little bit different because of the way that his face looks. So this book is about acceptance. It is about a lot of different things that have to do with Augie and being around someone who may be a little bit different. So Augie is a young boy and he's about to start middle school, and Augie has never been in a school before, so he's a little bit nervous. So let's read to find out what happens to Augie. First chapter is called Ordinary. I know I'm not an ordinary 10-year-old. I mean, I do ordinary things. I eat ice cream, I ride my bike, I play ball, I have an Xbox. Stuff like that makes me ordinary, I guess. And I feel ordinary inside. But I know ordinary kids don't make other ordinary kids run away screaming in playgrounds. I know ordinary kids don't get stared at wherever they go. If I found a magic lamp and I could have one wish, I would wish that I had a normal face that no one never noticed at all. I would wish that I could walk down the street without people seeing me and then doing that look away thing. Here's what I think. The only reason I'm not ordinary is that no one else sees me that way. I'm kind of used to how I look by now, and I know how to pretend that I don't see all the faces people make. We've all gotten pretty good at that sort of thing. Me, Mom, Dad, and Via. Actually, I take that back. Via's not so good at it. She can get really annoyed when people do something rude. Like, for instance, one time in the playground, some older kids made some noises. I don't even know what noises they were exactly. I didn't hear them myself. But Via heard and she just started yelling at the kids. That's the way she is. But I'm not that way. Via doesn't see me as ordinary. She says she does. But if I were ordinary, she wouldn't feel like she needs to protect me as much. And Mom and Dad don't see me as ordinary either. They see me as extraordinary. I think the only person in the world who realizes how ordinary I really am is me. My name is August, by the way. I won't describe what I look like. Whatever you're thinking, it's probably worse. Why I didn't go to school. Next week I start 5th grade. I've never been to a real school before. I'm pretty much totally and completely petrified. People think that I haven't gone to school because of the way that I look, but it's not that. It's because of all the surgeries that I've had. 27 since I was born. The bigger ones happened before I was even 4 years old, so I don't remember those. But I've had 2 or 3 surgeries every year since then. Some big, some small. And because I'm little for my age, I have some other medical mysteries that doctors never really figured out. I used to get sick a lot, and that's when my parents decided it was better if I didn't go to school. I'm much stronger now, though. The last surgery I had was 8 months ago, and I probably won't have to have any more for another couple of years. Mom homeschools me. She used to be a children's book illustrator. She draws really great fairies and mermaids. Her boy stuff isn't so hot, though. She once tried to draw me a Darth Vader, but it ended up looking like some weird mushroom-shaped robot. I haven't seen her draw anything in a long time. I think she's too busy taking care of me and Via. I can't say that I always wanted to go to school, because that wouldn't exactly be true. What I wanted was to go to school, but only if I could be like every other kid going to school, have lots of friends and hang out after school and stuff like that. I have a few really good friends now. Christopher is my best friend, followed by Zachary and Alex. We've known each other since we were babies, and since they've always known me the way that I am, they're used to me. When we were little, we used to have play dates all the time, but Christopher moved to Bridgeport in Connecticut. Hey, who else is in Bridgeport, Connecticut? That's more than an hour away from where I live in North River Heights, which is at the top tip of Manhattan. And Zachary and Alex started going to a new school. It's funny, even though Christopher's the one who moved far away, I still see him more than Zachary and Alex. They all have these new friends now. If we bump into each other on the street, they're still nice to me though. They always say hello. I have other friends too, but not as good as Christopher and Zach and Alex were. For instance, Zach and Alex always invited me to their birthday parties when we were little, but Joel, Iman, and Gabe never did. Emma invited me once, but I haven't seen her in a long time, and of course, I always go to Christopher's birthday. Maybe I'm making too big a deal about birthday parties. How I came to life. I like when Mom tells me this story because it makes me laugh so much. It's not funny in the way that a joke is funny, but when Mom tells it, Via and I just start cracking up. When I was in my mom's stomach, no one had any idea that I would come out looking the way that I look. Mom had Via 4 years before that, and it had been such a walk in the park, which was Mom's expression. And there was no reason to run any special tests before I was born. But about 2 months before I was born, the doctor realized there was something wrong with my face, but they didn't think it was going to be bad. They told Mom and Dad that I had a cleft palate and some other stuff going on. They called it small anomalies. But there were 2 nurses in the delivery room the night that I was born. One was very nice and sweet, and the other one, Mom said, did not seem nice or sweet at all. She had very big arms, and here comes the funny part. She kept farting. Like she'd bring Mom some ice chips and then fart, and she'd check Mom's blood pressure and then fart. Mom says it was unbelievable because the nurse never even said excuse me. Meanwhile, Mom's regular doctor wasn't on duty that night, so Mom got stuck with this cranky kid doctor that she and Dad nicknamed Doogie after some TV show or something. They didn't actually call him that to his face. But Mom said even though everyone in the room was kind of grumpy, Dad kept making her laugh all night long. When I came out of Mom's stomach, she said the whole room got quiet. Mom didn't even get a chance to look at me because the nice nurse immediately rushed me out of the room. Dad was in such a hurry to follow her that he dropped the video camera, which broke into a million pieces. And then Mom got very upset and tried to get out of bed to see where they were going. But the farting nurse put her very big arms on Mom to keep her down in the bed. They were practically fighting because Mom was hysterical and the farting nurse was yelling at her to stay calm. And then they had both screamed for the doctor. But guess what? He had fainted. And she started pushing him with her foot to wake him up, yelling at him this whole time, "What kind of doctor are you? What kind of doctor are you? Get up, get up." And then all of a sudden she let out the biggest, loudest, smelliest fart in the history of farts. Mom always says that it was the fart that finally woke the doctor up. Anyway, when Mom tells this story, she acts out all of the parts, including the farting noises, and it is so funny. Mom says the farting nurse turned out to be a very nice woman. She stayed with Mom the whole entire time, didn't leave her even after Dad came back and the doctors told them how sick I was. Mom remembers exactly what the nurse whispered in her ear when the doctor told her that I probably wouldn't live through the night. Everyone born of God overcometh the world. And the next day, after I had lived through the night, it was that nurse who held Mom's hand when they brought her to meet me for the very first time. Mom says by then they had told her all about me. She had been preparing herself for seeing me, and she says that when she looked down into my tiny mushed up face for the first time, all she could see was how pretty my eyes were. Mom is very beautiful, by the way, and Dad is handsome, and Via is very pretty, in case you were wondering. Christopher's house. I was really bummed when Christopher moved away 3 years ago. We were both around 7 years old. We used to spend hours and hours playing with our Star Wars action figures and dueling with our lightsabers. I missed that. Last spring, we drove over to Christopher's house in Bridgeport. Me and Christopher were looking for snacks in the kitchen, and I heard Mom talking to Lisa, Christopher's mom, about going to school in the fall. I had never, ever heard of her mentioning school before. "What are you talking about?" I said. Mom looked surprised, like she didn't mean for me to hear that. "You should tell him what you've been thinking, Isabel," Dad said. He was on the other side of the living room walking towards Christopher's dad. We should talk about this later, said Mom. No, I want to know what you're talking about, I answered. Don't you think you're ready for school, Augie? Mom said. No, I said. I don't either, said Dad. Then that's it, case closed, I said, shrugging as I sat in her lap like I was a baby. I just think you need to learn more than I could teach you, Mom said. I mean, come on, Augie. You know how bad I am at fractions. What school? I said. I already felt like crying. Beecher Prep, right by us. Wow, that's a great school, Augie, said Lisa, patting my knee. Why not Via's school? I said. That's too big, Mom answered. I don't think that would be a good fit for you. I don't want to, I said. I made my voice a little babyish. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do, Dad said, coming over and lifting me out of Mom's lap. He carried me over to sit on his lap on the other side of the sofa. We won't make you do anything that you don't want to do. But it would be good for him, Nate, Mom said. Not if he doesn't want to, answered Dad, looking at me. Not if he's not ready. I saw Mom look at Lisa, who reached over and squeezed her hand. You guys will figure it out, she said to Mom. You always have. Let's just talk about it later, said Mom. I could tell she and Dad were going to get in a fight about it. I wanted Dad to win the fight, but part of me knew that Mom was right. And the truth was, she was very terrible at fractions. Driving. It was a long drive home, and I fell asleep in the back seat like I always do, my head on Via's lap like she was my pillow, a towel wrapped around the seatbelt so I wouldn't drool all over her. Via fell asleep too, and Mom and Dad talked quietly about grown-up things that I did not care about. I don't know how long I was sleeping, but when I woke up, there was a full moon outside the car window, and it was a very purple night, and we were driving on a highway full of cars. And then I heard Mom and Dad talking about me. We can't keep protecting him, Mom whispered to Dad, who was driving. We can't pretend like he's going to wake up tomorrow and this isn't going to be his reality, because it is, Nate. And we have to help him learn to deal with it. We can't just keep avoiding situations that... So sending him off to middle school like a lamb to the slaughter? Dad answered angrily, but he didn't even finish his sentence because he saw me in the mirror looking up. What's a lamb to the slaughter? I asked, sleepily. Go back to sleep, Augie, Dad said softly. Everyone will stare at me at school, I said, suddenly crying. Honey, Mom said. She turned around in the front seat and put her hand on my hand. You know, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. But we spoke to the principal there and told him that he really wants to meet you. What did you tell him about me? How funny you are, how kind and smart. When I told him that you read Dragon Rider when you were 6, he was like, wow, I have to meet this kid. Did you tell him anything else? I said. Mom smiled at me. Her smile kind of hugged me. I told him about your surgeries and how brave you are, she said. So he knows what I look like, I asked. Well, we brought pictures from last summer in Montauk, Dad said. We showed him pictures of the whole family and that great shot of you holding the flounder on the boat. You were there too? I asked Dad. I had to admit, I had felt a little bit disappointed that he was part of this. We both talked to him, yes, Dad said. He's a really nice man. You would like him, Mom added. Suddenly it felt like they were both on the same side. Wait, so when did you meet him? I said. He took a tour of the school last year, said Mom. Last year? I said. So you've been thinking about this for a whole year and you didn't tell me? We didn't even know if you would get in, Augie, answered Mom. It's a very good school and very hard to get into. There's a whole admissions process. I didn't see the point in telling you and have you getting all worked up about it unnecessarily. But you're right, Augie. We should have told you when we found out last month that you got in, said Dad. In hindsight, sighed Mom. Yes, I guess. Did that lady who came to the house that time have something to do with this? I said. The one that gave me that test. Yes, actually, Mom said, looking guilty. You told me it was an IQ test, I said. I know. Well, that was a white lie, she answered. It was a test you needed to take to get into the school. You did very well on it, by the way. So you lied, I said. A white lie, but yes, sorry, she said, trying to smile. But when I didn't smile back, she turned it around and faced forward. What's a lamb to the slaughter? I said. Mom sighed and gave Daddy a look. I shouldn't have said that, Dad said, looking me in the rearview mirror. It's not true. Here's the thing. Mommy and I love you so much that we want you to protect you in any way that we can. It's just sometimes we want to do it in different ways. It would be good for you, Augie, said Mom. Maybe I'll go next year, I answered, looking out the window. This year would be better, Augie, said Mom. You know why? Because you'll be going into 5th grade, and that's the new first year of middle school for everyone. You won't be the only new kid. I'll be the only kid who looks like me, I said. I'm not going to say it won't be a big challenge for you, because you know better than that, she answered. But it'll be good for you, Augie. You'll make lots of friends, and you'll learn things that you'll never learn with me. She turned in her seat again and looked at me. When we took the tour, you know what they had in their science lab? A little baby chick that was just hatching out of its egg. It was so cute, Augie. It kind of reminded me of you when you were a baby with those big brown eyes of yours. I usually love when they talk about when I was a baby. Sometimes I want to curl up in a tiny ball and let them hug me and kiss me all over. I miss being a baby, not knowing stuff, but I wasn't in the mood for that now. I don't want to go, I said. How about this? Can you meet Mr. Tushman before making up your mind? Mom asked. Mr. Tushman? I said. He's the principal? Mr. Tushman? I repeated. I know, right? Dad answered, smiling and laughing and looking at me in the rearview mirror. Can you believe that name, Augie? I mean, who on earth would agree to have a name like Mr. Tushman? I smiled even though I didn't want them to see me smile. Dad was the one person in the world who could make me laugh no matter how much I didn't want to laugh. Dad always made everyone laugh. Augie, you should go to the school just so you could hear his name over the loudspeaker, Dad said excitedly. Can you imagine how funny that would be? Hello, hello, paging Mr. Tushman. He was using a deep, fake old man voice. Hi, Mr. Tushman. I see if you're running a little behind today. Did your car get rear-ended again? What a bummer. I started laughing, not even because he was being that funny, because I wasn't in the mood to stay mad anymore. It could be worse, though, Dad continued in his normal voice. Mommy and I had a professor in college called Miss Butt. Mom was laughing now, too. Is that for real? I said. Roberta Butt, Mom answered, raising her hand as if to swear. Bobby Butt. She had huge cheeks, said Dad. Nate, said Mom. What? She had big cheeks is all I'm saying. Mom laughed and shook her head at the same time. Hey, I know, Dad said excitedly. Let's fix them up on a blind date. Can you imagine? Miss Butt, meet Mr. Tushman. Mr. Tushman, here's Miss Butt. They could get married and have a bunch of little tushies. Poor Mr. Tushman, answered Mom, shaking her head. Augie hasn't even met the man yet. Who's Mr. Tushman? Via said groggily, as she had just woken up. He's the principal of my new school, I answered. All right, here's the last chapter that we're going to read for today, Paging Mr. Tushman. I would have been more nervous about meeting Mr. Tushman if I had known that I was going to be meeting some kids from the new school. But I didn't know, so if anything, I was kind of giggly. I couldn't stop thinking about all the jokes Daddy had made about Mr. Tushman's name. So when me and Mom arrived at Beecher Prep a few weeks before the start of school and saw Mr. Tushman standing there waiting for us at the entrance, I started giggling right away. He didn't look at all what I had pictured, though. I guess I thought that he would have a huge butt, but he didn't. In fact, he was a pretty normal guy, tall and thin, old, but not really old. He seemed nice. He shook my mom's hand first. Hi, Mr. Tushman. It's so nice to see you again, said Mom. This is my son, August. Mr. Tushman looked right at me and smiled and nodded. He put his hand out for me to shake. Hi, August, he said, totally normally. It's a pleasure to meet you. Hi, I mumbled, dropping my head into my hands while I looked down at his feet. he was wearing red Adidas. So, he said, kneeling down in front of me so I couldn't look at his sneakers and had to look at his face, "Your mom and dad have told me a lot about you." "What have they told you?" I asked. "Sorry?" "Honey, you have to speak up," said Mom. "Like what?" I asked, trying not to mumble. I admit, I have kind of a bad habit of mumbling. "Well, that you like to read," said Mr. Tushman, "and that you're a great artist." He had blue eyes with white eyelashes. "And you're into science, right?" "Mm-hmm," I said, nodding. "We have a couple of great science electives at Beecher," he said. "Maybe you'll take one of them." "Mm-hmm," I said, though I had no idea what an elective was. "So, are you ready to take a tour?" "You mean we're doing that now?" I said. Did you think we were going to the movies?" he answered, smiling as he stood up. "You didn't tell me that we were taking a tour," I said to Mom in my accusing voice. "Augie," she started to say. "It'll be fine, August," Mr. Tushman said, holding his hand out to me. "I promise." I think he wanted me to take his hand, but I took Mom's instead. He smiled and started walking around the entrance. Mommy gave me a little hand squeeze, though I don't know if it was an I love you squeeze or an I'm sorry squeeze. Probably a little of both. The only school that I'd ever been inside before was Via's, when I went with Mom and Dad to watch Via sing in spring concerts and stuff like that. This school was very different. It was smaller, smelled like a hospital. All right, well, I hope that you guys liked what we read so far today. I'm also going to have you guys watch another video about Treacher-Collins syndrome, and that's what Augie has, and that's what makes his face look a little bit different. So now when we're reading, you guys will be able to see and picture in your head a little bit what Augie would look like. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys.